Good morning, everyone. Today we're coming at you from the Brown family backyard. It is a beautiful day in California. I'm going to share a little bit about why deciding to try rowing was the single most important and best decision I've ever made in my life. It's important to go back to my early childhood and kind of understand where I came from. So I'm an only child, was raised by a single mom. In my early childhood, I'd say elementary school through middle school, I was bullied a lot. It's not easy being a head taller than everybody else in your class, especially when you have, as I did, thick Coke bottle glasses, this massive overbite, braces, neck gear, hair that stuck up all over the place. I had a pretty bad stutter too, actually, at that age. And to make matters even worse, I had zero fashion sense. I would wear sweatpants every day. Sweatpants with the elastics around the ankles, pulled up to your belly button, and I was ridiculed mercilessly for how I looked through pretty much almost the entirety of elementary school, through 7th grade even. So I had very poor self-confidence. I was very good academically at school, but I didn't enjoy it. I hated it, in fact. Going to school every day was not something I looked forward to. And, my mom did the best she could, but she just didn't really know, I think, at that time, how to help me through the bullying. So it was a pretty dark and isolating experience for me. Maybe partially because of the bullying, or just maybe thinking that I was lonely, which I was through a lot of my childhood. My mom decided to send me to boarding school starting in 8th grade to Shawnigan Lake School on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. I was terrified. I did not want to go. The school is in quite a remote location. It's about an hour north of Victoria. If any of you have ever been to Victoria, British Columbia, beautiful part of the world. I mean, I had never been anywhere like that, and just remember feeling like a fish out of water and really scared of what it would be like. And so for the start of my 8th grade year, I was sent to Shawnigan. Your days are very structured. Sports and fine arts were compulsory. You had to do them. So you were in school, Monday through Friday. Classes were, let's say, from 8 to 2:30, and from roughly 3 to 5 or so, depending on the day, you would either have your sport of choice or your fine art of choice. And so my first couple years at Shawnigan, grades 8 and 9, I played rugby, played basketball, played tennis. Wasn't great at really any of them. I was okay, and that was really my first taste of team sports, and competitive team sports. Pretty much since the day I had stepped onto campus, I had had teachers routinely telling me, "Hey, you're tall. You might want to give this rowing thing a try." Rowing and rugby were the two most popular sports on campus at that time. Now, I had seen what rowers, I saw what they went through, especially during the winter when temperatures routinely would dip below freezing. There'd be snow on the ground. And I just thought, why in the hell would I try that? You're dressed in full body spandex. It's freezing cold. Why would I want to do that to myself? Looks miserable. So I didn't think anything of it. Grades 8 and 9 were, I think, from a self-esteem standpoint, were honestly not that much different from my elementary to middle school experience. I think I was still seen as a big nerd. It was a tough first couple of years for me, a tough introduction to boarding school. And then grade 10, I had played rugby in the fall. Actually, I played basketball that winter as well. And my house director at that time, because mind you, 40 to 50 of us living in a dorm together. We had a house director who lived adjacent to the dorm. He was one of the rowing coaches, and I think might have also been my physics teacher that year. He had been regularly nudging me, saying, "Hey, I think you should give rowing a try." And I think what pushed me over the edge was one of my good friends had been rowing for the last year and was, by all accounts, a pretty good rower already. Seeing his experience and how much he loved it convinced me to at least try. And I'll be honest, I was pretty skeptical. I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. I'm probably gonna hate it, but at least if I try, maybe this will shut everyone up. I won't get asked anymore to try rowing. So I decided to try rowing for the spring of my 10th grade year. The competitive season for rowing is the spring. And most people who start the sport as novices join in the winter so that or at least at Shawnigan, most people would join in the winter so they'd get 3 months of rowing experience under their belts before their first regatta. I had not done that. And so I showed up. My first day of practice was, I think, 2, maybe at most 3 weeks out from the first regatta of the year. Either my first or second day, I was thrown on an erg and asked to do a 2K. I guess it was good enough where the next practice, the grade 9 and 10 boys 8 was already out on the water practicing. I was driven out in a coach's boat. Coach pulled 4-seat out, threw me in, and I was in the boat. Literally never been in a rowing show before. We were about 2 weeks out from a regatta. Many of the guys in the boat, all of them had rowed at least for the prior 3 months, and many had rowed for a year or two prior already. So I was terrified, extremely nervous, obviously didn't want to screw things up for the other 8 guys in the boat. And I was thrown into the deep end, right? And I vividly remember those first couple practices hitting 5-seat, the guy in front of me, who is my good friend. I remember spearing him in the back with my oar countless times those first couple practices because I was so out of sync and discombobulated on the water. That was my crash course, my introduction to rowing. There was a 2K test at some point in my grade 10 year, it must have been towards the end of the year, but where my 2K was the 3rd best score in the entire school, even amongst the grade 11s and grade 12s. So that was when I first realized, oh, okay, maybe I could actually be pretty good at this sport. And so I think that was one of the pivotal moments that led me to continue rowing in grades 11 and 12. Through rowing, even through that first experience in grade 10 through grade 11, I saw how kind of once people knew that I was not just good at academics, but also good at sports, and a sport that was very highly regarded within the school, it changed how I was perceived by others at school, which in turn gave me a lot of self-confidence. Our grades 11 and 12 were amazing. Really, I think, fell in love with the sport those couple years at Shawnigan. And in hindsight, we were so blessed, incredibly blessed, to be able to train at Shawnigan. It is one of the most idyllic, picturesque places imaginable that you could row, which again, I took for granted at the time because I had no basis for comparison. But it was just the perfect spot, perfect environment to learn to row. The fall of my grade 12 year, I thought I was good enough. I thought I was fast enough to see if I could continue on in college. I won't bore you with all the details of my 4 years rowing at Stanford, but the point of this and why I'm discussing this today is because I really found my self-confidence, my self-belief through the sport of rowing. Without rowing, I doubt I would have gone to Stanford. Going to Stanford opened up a lot of doors for me. That single decision to, all right, okay, I'll give rowing a try. I think that decision was probably the most important decision of my life that I made for myself. That decision to try rowing out really set my life on its current path. So I'm incredibly thankful for everything the sport gave me. And I think that's why I'll always, in some way, shape, or form, come back to rowing. Granted, it's been 16 years or so since I was last in a boat, but rowing will indelibly be a part of my life forever. So anyways, just wanted to share a little bit about my story, the role that rowing has played in my life, not just my fitness journey, but really my life overall, and why it's been kind of fun to get back into it these last few months. So on that note, let's hop into the Brown family gym. We'll get our workout in for the day. We'll see you there. Excited to have the GoPro finally. I have it set up right over here. Today's workout is 3K followed by 2.5K followed by 2K with 5 minutes rest in between. Should be a hard workout. So, let's see how it goes.
12 seconds later.
I really didn't have any idea how that workout was going to go or how I was going to feel. And I also extended the rest breaks a little bit. Instead of 5 minutes, I did 8. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Check that off the list. Do a lighter day tomorrow. I'm going to try and actually get out for a run. I really enjoy running just as a mental break from the erg. Hopefully see y'all tomorrow or in the next couple days. But until then, keep chasing. Peace.